Welcome back, traders, to this week's installment of Nasdaq100 weekly highs, weekly lows, technical analysis. I hope you guys have had a good weekend, and I hope last week your trades went really well. I didn't release that many videos over the course of the week. I think the last video that I did was on Tuesday on the Nas, and obviously this is the first video that we're doing this Monday. So apologies for that. Okay, obviously a few things going on in preparation for Christmas, etc. Lots of running around, so I was not around to release those videos, so I hope obviously you will accept my apologies on that. Now, with that said and done, what we're going to be doing in this particular video is we're going to pick up from where we left off, because not much has changed in regards to market behavior. I'm going to share with you my sentiment as to what I think market is going to do. I strongly recommend you check everything that I say to make sure that it makes sense before you commit yourself to any trades, because once again, I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not giving you financial advice, and because naturally I don't want you guys to lose. I want you guys to do the work, and the work is necessary. It helps you improve. It's definitely helping me improve, right? So with that said and done, if you're new to this channel and you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. So with all of that said and done, we're going to get straight into the business of the day. On the Tuesday, when I did a video, I called out this level here on the Monday, which is 21,004 as the weekly high. And I give myself a pat on the back for being right, because it turned out it was actually the weekly high, which is great. And then I also said something along the lines of if this low was taken out, you could consider jumping in with a sell. Now, if you did that, I would have done that. That's why I said it, right? You would have been caught slipping. You would have been trapped right now. But however, if you went with my checks and balances in regards to taking this trade, right, you never would have entered to begin with. What do I mean by that? Simple. This level right here, you needed price to close below it. And what we have right now, and this is right under the daily FVG, and what we have in this situation over here is price wicked into it, but did not close below this level right here. So yes, you had a confirmation. If you were impatient and you jumped in based off this signal, you would have been trapped and you would have been holding the bag, and it would not have worked out. Okay, hence why I always say do the work and make sure it makes sense, because the more patient you are in this game, the less mistakes you make. And this is speaking of experience, right? So I try to reduce how many times I'm in the market, and then when I get in the market, I try to make sure that all my ducks are in a row before I pull the trigger. And if it turns out market moved against me, I should have a rough idea when market is turning against me, going bad, so I can get out of it nice and early. These are just best practices that I do just to protect me with my trades that I do, right? It's not all the time it works, but sometimes it's good to do these things. Best practices, being patient, these are things that ultimately it will help you, right, in my opinion. So this signal went bad, right? And market continued to do what it was doing, in a sense of maintaining itself in this ascending channel that is in right now. So what I'm now going to do, because we now know where the weekly low is, it's down here. So we're going to get rid of these levels for now. This FVG over here has been fully violated, as well as the one on top. Both have been violated, so we no longer need those anymore. So we're going to get rid of those. I'm going to move this down here. Let's unlock this. We're going to move this down to this level right here. We're going to set this as weekly low. We're going to put a label on this that I will call out in a few moments. Let's move this down here. And this FVG down here still hasn't been visited yet. So as we have this ascending channel, we need to keep an eye on this zone right here. Okay, it could become important somewhere down the line. Only time will tell. So then what I'm going to do is the fib levels that I have over here, I'm going to move across and I'm going to use that to cover the weekly lows and the weekly highs, and we can see that price has closed above the previous week's high. It's done that today, okay? So it's natural to assume that it might continue on its journey upwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to call this level right here as the weekly low just yet, because what I want to do is I want to wait for Tuesday to come and go, and I would then come forward with what I think. So I'm not sure that this is in fact the weekly high, and I'm not sure that if this is in fact the weekly low. What I do know is the 50% level, we're going to need to keep an eye on that. So the 50% level, we're going to need to keep an eye on that, and I've just drawn this blue horizontal level across it, so it's easy for you guys to identify. And the number in question is 2803.8. That's this level right here. Okay, so now that we have that all set up, the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to jump into the day just to see if I can spot an FVG, a bullish FVG on the day. So that will give us a rough idea as to if price does a pullback and wants to keep pushing upwards, where it's most likely to go, right? So over here right now we have a bearish FVG in this zone. Market hasn't closed fully yet. We still got roughly a couple more minutes to go until market closes for this evening, so it's still open. But however, I don't think it's going to come back on itself and come all the way back down here again. I don't think it's going to do that. So I'm quite confident in putting this FVG in place. So we're going to make that blue to signify this is a daily bullish FVG that we're keeping an eye on. So now that we have this all set in place, let me lock that. We're going to jump back into the 1 hour again. And we're going to keep an eye to see as we move forward if price is going to come into the zone. Now if we look where this FVG is currently located at right now, it sits comfortably above the 50% level, this level right here, which is off the previous week's high and low, right? So we have two areas that can help us make a decision as to what side of the coin we need to be on. So for example, if we get price close below this 50% fib level right here, then it's fair to assume that this structure, a fair chance, right, that is going to break through this whole structure, which is the ascending channel, to at least make his way down to this FVG zone over here, right? So there is that possibility that it could do that. However, if price comes in here and taps into this zone and flies off again, we might have a double bottom in regards to this area being the weekly low, okay, and the weekly high is yet to be set. So essentially it's going to make it really easy to load in with buys or longs at around this level over here, okay, to ride price up to the upside. Now another thing that I also need to add as well, and this is a bit of caution, okay, just to make sure that we don't make mistakes. Simply put, if price comes into the FVG, okay, in my opinion and through my experience, this is not the time to get overexcited and think that it's naturally going to bounce from this zone, because we cannot forget what this structure is, right? This structure has a very high probability of breaking downwards, okay? But however, in some rare occasions, it will push up. But also in saying that, I would only be comfortable in taking sales from below this level, supposing to up here, because up here, I would be guessing it would be the perfect place to put in your sales, right? But however, we do not have an indication that this is a selling situation for us to get into right now, because the overall trend is up. So if you want to take a position, you're looking for buying opportunities, not selling opportunities. But however, when the selling opportunity presents itself to us, that is when it would do something to say that it wants to start going in the opposite direction. And in my opinion, it will violate this FVG over here, and we should get a close below this 50% fib level. Let me just get this dead on because it's not entirely accurate. Okay, so that's when we will get a close below this 50% fib level. All right, you can obviously jump in at any level that you think you want to jump in on. That's fine, because ultimately it's not my money you're risking, it's yours. So I would like to think that you've done all the work, all the research, double checked it all makes sense before you do it. And however, if you do decide to jump in because obviously you FOMO, you just want to be in, then obviously be prepared to assume the risk as well in case it does not go your way. So with all of that said and done, as it stands, this is Monday, and this is what I'm looking at right now in regards to the NAS, and this is how I would be behaving if I was thinking about taking a position. I've looked at what is currently going on. I can see what is happening. I've put in the parameters as to what I want to do should certain conditions be met. All I have to do now is sit on my hands and wait for these conditions to be met before I jump in. Now on the flip side, say market is going to continue pushing up, right? Market is going to continue pushing up. What I would do, and this also comes with its level of risk as well, right, is I would wait for the high of today, right, which is the highest point of today, tomorrow, to be violated by market. And then at that point, I will consider jumping in. At the same time, I will keep my stop relatively tight. The best practice, in my opinion, is if you wait for the high of today, because market is about to close literally in about 21 minutes, right, is you can target a close above the high of Monday, right? And the sensible attitude, or the sensible thing to do, is to put your stop below the low of today, right? Now the distance between this level and the high of today is quite high, right? Like, I know that is an uncomfortable hold for many traders, right? It's an uncomfortable hold for many traders, whether you're doing a small lot size or you're doing a big lot size. Either way, it's not going to be a comfortable hold. So my opinion is, why risk it? That's how I will approach it. Why risk it, right? Because the market is always going to be there. If you're able to be patient, I strongly recommend you do. So what I would say is, the high of the day's been taken out, you jump in, you find a sensible location to put in your stop, and then you keep it moving. But buying from this level as price is pushing up, on the daily, we can already see we have a bullish FVG in this area. So even if you wanted to put your stop anywhere, you have to pull it below the today's low, right? And that is a big stop. So I would recommend you factor that in before you actually jump in. You might be comfortable to do that, and if you are, then great, go for it. If you're not comfortable to do that, then I'll just say wait for market to actually give you the signal to say, hey, do this. And it's really, really, really simple. Like, people make this more complicated than it needs to. When you're first starting out, you're all over the place, but as you spend more time in the market, you tend to realize that being patient is more favorable than being impatient, right? So for example, another way you could do this whole situation is really simple. You wait for market if market comes into this zone, right? So for example, you wait for market to come into this FVG zone right here, okay? And the idea is, you don't want perfect execution into the market. What you're basically looking for, in my opinion, is you want confirmation that at least for a decent amount of time, you're going to be profitable. That's how I would look at it, right? So I would wait for market to come into either this FVG or this FVG zone, right? Bearing in mind bullish FVGs. The top one is derived from the hour, and the one below that is derived from the day. So what I would do is, I will position myself up here, right? Only when market is in here, right? I have a full-fledged close in here, right? If that doesn't happen, I want to see that in here. If that too doesn't happen, I want to see price close under here. If that too doesn't happen and market is dancing around, going sideways, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wait, right? So that's how I would do it. Either I would position myself up here when market gets to this zone, market comes lower into this zone, I would then position myself just above it, right? Market violates both FVGs, I now know to cancel both pending orders. I'll wait for market to close below the 50% fib level, which is derived from last week. We're using last week's highs and lows to get those measurements up. And once I have this close underneath that, it's really simple. I can just lock it in, find a suitable place to put my stop. I will probably target this level over here as a possible stop if I get it closed below the 50% level. And I'll just see what market does. And if market continues to push all the way down, happy days. And then once market takes out this weekly low over here, then essentially I would just move my TP to the top side of this FVG, which is 20,223.9, and I'll just sit back, watch everything play out, and wait for my TP to be hit on the condition that what I've just said plays out. If it doesn't, this is where we're going to have to be a little bit more dynamic. So with all of that said and done, if you stayed and watched up to now, I definitely appreciate you for doing that. If you could drop a comment in the comment section as to say where you're watching me from, that would be amazing, right? And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Hopefully that will be tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about gold in regards to the trade that I've placed today on gold. So we're going to go into details about all of that. And so that's something that I think is worth watching once that video is released. So I want to thank you for coming over, right? And I look forward to seeing you all on the next one.